Two guys in their early 50s with one dream: to achieve middle-aged sporting glory. This is the Missing Links Golf Show. Well, here we go again. Andy Walker, welcome back to the sports desk of the Missing Links Golf Show. Great to have you with me.
Thanks, buddy. Looking forward to another week. Actually not far away from going on holidays. So I sort of feel like halfway through the year, holidays are overdue. So yeah, looking forward to having a week off, not next week, but the week after. So yeah, it should be very good.
Does that mean that we're both having a week off? Is that a break in the podcasting chain?
I think we're going to organise to record a couple in advance, and so we've got something to play for the Pilgrims when we come back. I think it's the week of the British or the Open Championship. It's not the British Open anymore. It's the Open Championship that I'm away.
Yeah,
so
never was the British Open. Let's be honest.
Yeah, well, that's true. So yeah, I may be.
So are you playing in it? Is that the goal? Is that where you're going?
I wish.
You're teeing it up?
No, it's not. No. The golf game isn't quite up to that standard as yet. I mean, look, give it a few weeks, but might get there.
Oh well, you got time. Well, actually, I don't think you do. I think
I was going to say, do I?
I think the qualifiers have been played. Very good. But speaking of tournaments, I feel like that might be tonight's topic.
Yes, I did tee it up and have a game in the Oatlands Seniors. It was about a week ago now.
It's exciting.
So yeah, it was a bit of a spur of the moment decision. It was just before the entries closed, and I went, you know what?
Let's do this.
I feel like I'm ready.
Were you? Oh, actually, no spoilers.
I was going to say let's wait, and we'll discuss that throughout the episode.
Yeah, because. Pilgrims, I don't even know the result. I've not gone into the handicapping app to look at the scores or anything like that. Andy Walker has shared nothing with me. That can either mean because it was a great round and he wants to share it with everyone at once, or it can mean that he's embarrassed about it and he didn't want to talk about it. So I don't know which way that's going to go just yet.
Well, it's a 50-50 chance, isn't it?
Yeah, it's either going to be one or the other. So let's get into it. Tell us all about it.
Let's crack on.
What happened?
All right. Well, look, it was actually a really nice day. I mean, we're winter here in the southern hemisphere for those of us or for those northern hemisphere pilgrims. So beautiful winter's day, around about 20 degrees. Clear sky. So 20 degrees, about 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Was a little bit chilly. Had a bit of a southerly breeze. So southerly's our cool breeze coming from Antarctica. And
is this now the Missing Links weather show? Is that what we're?
It is. Yeah. It is. I just want to set the scene. I want to set the scene, right?
Okay.
I was on a roll. Like you interrupted my roll, man. Like what's going on there?
Sorry about that.
So like it wasn't a.
I promise I won't interrupt again.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Appreciate it. Yeah, what a good mate's for.
Yeah. Anyway, back to you.
Where was I?
You're still in the weather report.
Oh, weather report. All right. Yeah. So yeah, as I was saying, bit chilly, bit of a southerly, not too strong. Probably up to about 15 kilometres an hour. So maybe a little bit over 9 miles an hour for those in the Imperial.
Very detailed weather report.
I've done my research here, right?
Okay.
So it was a bit of a drive to get down there. So I'm up the coast around Lake Macquarie, around about an hour and 20 minutes, and I left pretty early because the M1 from sort of Newcastle down to Sydney. If there's an accident or something happens on that M1, it is an absolute nightmare. So I didn't want to miss my tea time.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Missing Links traffic report.
Told you this is comprehensive, man. So I had an 8:48 tea time, and I actually got there pretty clear run down the coast. So I got there just after 7:30. So I had a little bit of time to spare, which was good. Course itself was in pretty good nick. There were preferred lies, and the way they termed it, and this is sort of something I wanted to get your views on. They said preferred lies in the general area.
Yeah.
And I sort of jumped on the first tee and said to my playing partners, well, there's preferred lies. What does in the general area mean? And no one knew.
I know.
Right? So it went into the pro shop, and I sort of ran back and said, so what does in the general area mean? I said, is it through the green? Is it on the fairway? Like what is it? And he goes, oh, it's the new terminology. So it's actually, it's through the green, right? And I've gone, okay, why don't you just put through the green? That's what everyone knows. And he goes, oh, it's just what, the new terminology that's come out. And we were talking about walking down the first fairway, going, so everyone knew the old terminology of either through the green or on the fairway, right? Preferred lies. So now, and I've sort of done a little bit of research about it, and it's clear as mud, right? So from what I understand, it's either in the general area of play or in the general area on the closely mown portion.
Correct.
Right. That's, yeah. So, I mean, you take something that's everyone understands and is quite clear and unambiguous, and you change it so no one understands it and has it a little bit murky, and so people are asking, what does this mean?
So this all changed at the same time when the terminology for hazards was changed to penalty area. You know how you used to have your red staked hazards, lateral hazards and et cetera. Yeah. Yellow hazards and that changed to penalty areas.
Yeah.
And that's when all of the rest of the golf course, so if it's not a penalty area and it's not a bunker, it's the general area. That's what it's called. And so that's what it moved to. It was a couple of years ago now. So that's what it is. So it is essentially it's through the green. General area closely mown portion refers to the fairway and the apron and the fringe of greens.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
And I would imagine also tee boxes if you found yourself on a neighbouring tee box.
So this is the first time that I've seen it used in a club competition environment.
No,
right?
It should be. To be honest with you, it should be standard practice now because everyone through the R&A and USGA and Golf Australia has been instructed to move to the new terminology. So I would have expected this. If I was in your group, Andy Walker, and you went, "What's the general area?" I would have gone, "Mate, it's the whole golf course. It's through the greens. Just you can't prefer lie in a penalty or a bunker. It's pretty simple."
Yeah.
Get with the times.
As I said, this is the first time I've come across it in a competition sort of competition environment at a golf club.
Yep.
And maybe a lot of the time it's just because I've been playing off the deck at all the golf courses, because at my home club. They still have the terminology for preferred lies on the fairway or through the green now on their little sign. So they haven't updated the sign.
I'm going to report them. They need to get with the times.
Well, I mean, with our listener base, I'm sure that it's going to get back to someone that's
we do have
home club.
We do have a rules official.
I know we do. I know we do.
Shout out to you, Pete. Interested in your feedback on this, but for mine, it's it's just different words. It means the same thing. Doesn't really change anything. The big difference really is the treatment of penalty areas, where grounding of club is now allowed, which never used to be the case. So,
and obviously in bunkers you're allowed to move loose impediments. As they were doing that a lot at Shinnecock.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
I don't know. I think the grounding of a club in a penalty area or a hazard doesn't seem right for mine. I mean, what's next? Are you going to be able to ground your club in a bunker?
No. What I think you're going to be able to do is take relief from a divot.
Oh, give me strength.
I know how you feel about that. So very intentional comment.
Are we going to go?
Let's get on your high horse.
Yeah, here we go. Giddy up, pilgrims, giddy up. we're going to go from golf is a game where you get good breaks from bad shots and bad breaks from good shots. We're going to change that to golf is a game where you get good breaks from bad shots and bad breaks from good shots. Although if it's a good shot, you're allowed to alter the bad break and make it an okay break. Is that what we're going to?
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah. And then we'll finish off with it is now no longer the game that most closely resembles the game they call life.
Look, what we want to do is we want to make golf fair, right?
No, we don't. We don't. We absolutely don't. Until such time as we can make life fair, we should not be making golf fair.
Right. Okay.
Moving on. I'm off the horse.
Moving on. Yeah. All right. And this is all about me today, right? So this is meant to be all about me. So anyway. Okay. So look, I had a pretty good warm up, and jumped on the first tee, and I was actually feeling pretty good because I've been hitting the ball quite well. A la, a couple of sort of shots that, last round at my home club, that I pulled left late in the round, but felt pretty good. So I felt as though it was a day that was going to be, reasonably good. The greens at Oatlands, so it's Kaiku fairways, right. But the greens, and they've changed the course a little bit because the Oatlands that I knew 30 years ago, they've sort of changed the layout a bit, and they're doing some development work. I think looks like they've sold off some land, and they're building some houses in there. And so that the old, I think it was the 13th, was a long par 3. That's now the car park, and they've got another little hole that they've made. So it's sort of changed a bit. So they've got some new greens that were really, really hard. And then there's the old greens, you can tell obviously the difference. The old greens were still, pretty hard as well, but with the Kaiku fringes, it just made it, you couldn't actually land the ball short, with a pitch, or if you had, a longer club sort of coming in where the pin was at the front of the green, you couldn't land it short and run it up because it would just stop in the Kaiku. So that sort of made it a little bit tough. Some of the pin positions were a bit dodgy, but we'll sort of get into that. So I stood on the first tee. There was out of bounds down the right hand side, sort of just over the other side of the tree line. So I didn't want to hit driver off the tee. It's fairly short hole, par 4, around about 320 meters. So I've hit a pretty good tee shot, sort of with the 3 utility down the left hand side. So we'll go through just the scoring of how I scored, and then what I want to do is sort of talk about. So we won't do a sort of sequential shot by shot. We'll sort of I'll go through the scoring, and then we'll do an analysis around the strokes gained. So I made par at the first.
Nice.
So par 4. Par 4 I made. So the second's a par 3. I made a double bogey 5. The third made a bogey 5. The fourth I made a bogey 5. The fifth was a par 3, which I made par. Hit a good tee shot in there. That was good. Felt like I was back on track. The sixth was par 4, or is a par 4. I made a double bogey 6. Made a par at the par 3 7th, and then made a bogey at the par 4 8th. So I turned 42, which was 8 over. So did I miss the ninth? I
missed the ninth.
Par 5 ninth, and I made a bogey. So I turned in 42, which par 34 around the front nine. So. Yeah, I was 8 over, which...
Were you happy with that?
Wasn't ideal, I have to admit. Wasn't something that... and we'll come back to the reasons why I had such a poor front nine. So on 10...
4 under on the back, and we're in good shape.
So par 3 10th, I made a par. Par 4 11th, I made a birdie nice. 3. First bird of the day. Par 4 12th, I made a bogey, so gave it straight back. Par 3 13th, I made a bird, so had the birdie bogey run happening. Then 14th, par 5, I made a bogey 6. Par 4, 15th, I made a bogey 5. The par 5, 16th, I made a bogey 6. Par 4, 17th, I made a double bogey 6, so off the bogey train. And then the par 4, 18th, I made a bogey 5, so 41 around the back nine. Par 36, so 5 overs, so 42, 41, 83, 13 over.
Were you happy with that?
Not really, surprisingly. And look, the main reason is sort of, first up in the strokes gained is my driving was absolutely appalling. And that's specifically with the drivers. So 7 fairways, I took, or 7 holes, I took my driver out, 0 out of 7 fairways.
Oof.
So from a strokes gain perspective, that was minus 4.6.
It's not
right?
ideal.
No. Now that does take into consideration. I also hit on 6 holes I hit my 3 utility, and I hit 3 out of 6 fairways with the 3 utility. So with the driver specifically, so the par 4 third, I hit it right into the right trees where I made bogey. I quite literally had to pitch out. Par 4 fourth, I hit it into the left trees and literally had to pitch out. The par 4 sixth, I hit it into the left trees and made the double bogey. Literally had to pitch out, and I couldn't actually. I couldn't reach the green when I pitched out. So that's how far back I was. The par 4 eighth, I hit it into the left trees and made bogey. The par 5 ninth, I hit into the right trees and made bogey. The par 5 14th, I hit it into the left trees and made bogey. And then the par 4 18th, I hit it into the right trees and made bogey. So out of the 0 out of 7 fairways, 3 of them I missed right, 4 of them I missed left.
Unless you've eliminated the two-way miss.
So I quite literally had no idea off the tee. Yeah. And that to be honest with you, was the reason why I had such a poor front nine. I mean, when you look at the third where I hit it into the right trees and had to pitch out, the 4th I hit into the left trees and had to pitch out, the 6th I hit into the left trees and had to pitch out, the 8th I hit it into the left trees, and I did have a bit of a shot. The 8th is quite a short par 4, and I only had about 70 meters to the pin. So, and I had a little bit of a gap up through the trees, so I was able to sort of get it through that gap. But the par 5 ninth, which I hit it into the right trees, I would have had a gap. So the leaves and branches on the tree started around about a meter up, but I was in this little hollow and had this mound in front of me where I couldn't actually keep it low enough to keep it underneath the trees. So I had 2 options: literally pitch it out backwards, or I had this shot that was sort of around the trees down the tree line, and I had this little gap in the top of the tree line. So I tried to hit a 6-iron through that gap and caught the trees, and it sort of ping-ponged around in the tree line and dropped down. And from there I had to pitch out down the fairway to within pitching distance of the green. So quite literally on the front nine, every time I hit it into the 4 out of 5 times, I quite literally had to pitch out, or I had no shot as it was on the ninth. So then you look at the par 5 14th where I hit it in the left trees. I did actually have a shot, but then I tried to hit my 4 utility and just heeled it left into the tree line and just dropped down again, and then I had to pitch out. And the par 4 18th where I hit it into the right trees, I again had to just sort of pitch out sort of underneath the tree line to within sort of 30 or 40 meters of the green. So it was quite literally 0 out of 7 fairways, 5 out of those 7 fairways pitching out, maybe not sideways, but only sort of down the fairway to within sort of wedge distance of the green.
Well, a couple of things. Firstly, I feel like we've answered the question on why you haven't told me about the round up until this point. So that's good. That mystery is solved. Secondly, what handicap were you playing off on the day?
4.
Yeah,
so it was quite literally my my standard handicap that I played off.
Yeah, the telling of the story sounds more like 24.
Yeah, it does. It does. But it was appalling.
To be honest, from hearing all of that, to actually shoot 13 over sounds like a pretty good effort.
The rest of my game actually wasn't too bad, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because I mean that in the best possible way. Like that's
yeah. So when I say that my off the tee was a minus 4.6 strokes gained, right? I reckon, and I don't know what my driver was, but I can tell you my driver was a lot worse than that, because with the 3 utility, 3 out of 6 fairways. The first, on the par 4 first, I was literally just in the left rough. I actually didn't hit a bad shot. It just sort of just hit the left-hand side of the fairway and just sort of kicked into the rough a little bit. But it was literally within a metre of being on the fairway.
Yeah.
The par 4 11th, I've striped it down the middle, and that's the hole I made birdie on. The par 4 12th, I sort of came out of it a little bit, and I was in the right rough, but again, it was only just into the rough. It wasn't sort of that far into the rough. The par 4 15th, I've actually hit a pretty good shot down the right side of the fairway. The par 5 16th, striped it down the middle, and then the par 4 17th, sort of hit it into the left tree line. I didn't hit a very good sort of tee shot off that, but there were a couple of really good shots off the tee with the 3 utility. So that would have bumped my strokes gained distance up, although from a distance perspective, that would have taken some off. But I reckon that my driver would have been a hell of a lot worse than the minus 4.6, and sort of got saved a little bit by the 3 utility.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a challenging day out, I think it's fair to say. But it's tournament golf, right? It'll do it to you. And it just goes to show, once again, no matter how good your putting is, if you can't get it off the tee, you're going to struggle.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm not saying my putting was good, right?
Should we talk about that?
Well, let's talk about my approach play.
Okay.
So I actually feel as though my approach play was the best part of my game, and that this does sort of reflect in the strokes gained data. So strokes gained was minus 1.0. So on the par 4 first, I actually had a really good 9-iron over the flag. It sort of landed, the pin was sort of near the front of the green, and it sort of landed halfway in between the pin and the back of the green, and took a bit of a skip and ended up just on the fringe. I was able to putt it, but I felt like it was a pretty good 9-iron. The par 3 second, I hit a 3 utility and just hit a really poor toe hook off the tee, and sort of ended up in the left rough, which wasn't great. But the par 3 fifth was the next iron shot I hit. Of course, the third and the fourth, I was literally pitching out sideways. So, the par 3 fifth, I hit a really good 5-iron into the green to about 20 feet. I was really happy with that. The par 4 6th, when I pitched out, I hit a 3 utility into the green, and I was just short. I was actually in between clubs, in between the 3 utility and the 4 fairway, and I didn't want to go long. So I just hit the 3 utility to just short of the green, and felt like that was a really good shot. It went sort of at the pin and hit it pretty well. The par 3 7th, I hit a pitching wedge at the flag, and it landed pin high and sort of jagged back to about 15 feet. The par where are we? The par 3 10th. I hit a 9-iron, sort of about 20 feet left. It wasn't a bad shot. It sort of landed about sort of halfway between where my ball finished in the pin and sort of, screwed a little bit sort of sideways. The par 4 11th, I hit a pitching wedge to 4 feet. And that was where I striped the 3 utility off the tee and hit a really good wedge into about 4 foot and actually made birdie on that hole. Par 4 12th, I actually hit a really good 7-iron from the right rough into the green. I was really happy with that. I just took aim at the middle of the green. The pin was actually tucked front left, and we'll talk about that pin when we come to the approach play and putting, because that was a tough one. The par 3 13th, hit a 8-iron to 12 feet, made birdie. Par 4 15th, hit a 7-iron, a little bit fat, and it sort of landed just in the front fringe and sort of came back into the front bunker. So that was, it wasn't a great 7-iron, but I felt as though I should have been on the green, but felt a little bit unlucky. But that was it wasn't really the story of the day, but it was, it was sort of typical of the day, I guess.
So at that point, did you think it would be better if golf was more fair?
Well, I have to say that wasn't my predominant thoughts, but we'll come back to that.
Okay.
The par 5 16th, my second, which I just I'd hit my 3 utility off the tee, hit another 3 utility, and again striped that down the middle of the fairway to about 90 meters from the flag. So I felt like I hit a lot of really good approach shots, a lot of really good irons into greens or down the fairway. So I was pretty happy with my iron play. In fact, I think the minus 1.0, I sort of felt like it was, the performance and the shot making was better than that, but that's what Arcos is telling me. So again, it's pretty typical of where my game's been in recent times in the sort of driver and fairway, no confidence and not a lot of consistency, and yet my iron play and approach play seems to be working quite well.
Yep. Good to see that you are being consistent with your approach. So that's nice.
It's consistently inconsistent with my driver and
this
fairway
is the thing, right? Like everyone wants more consistency. No, you don't. You just want to be better.
Exactly. So look, we'll get to the short game and putting. So short game strokes gained minus 1.8. Putting was minus 3.2 strokes gained. So yeah, the putting sort of wasn't great. Although I didn't feel as though it was that bad. But that's what Arcos is telling me. So on the first, where I'd hit the approach 9-iron through the green, I was probably about maybe half a meter, 50 centimeters, just into the fringe. I putted down to probably around about 8 feet, left it about 8 feet short. Then hit a really good putt straight in the middle of the hole. Didn't look like it was going anywhere else but middle. So felt pretty happy about that. The par 3 second, where I'd hit my 3 utility left, of course, of the preferred lies in the general area, I was able to take a preferred lie, although because it was sort of fairly thick IQ, I wasn't able to still get a great lie. And I bladed my 58-degree wedge over the green to the front sort of fairway sort of part. Then I had a little pitch sort of coming up over a little bit of a mound, which I just left short. I left it around about sort of 15 feet short, and 2-putted for an easy double bogey. So
beautiful.
That was a little bit disappointing. On the third, the par 4, where I'd hit it into the trees and had to sort of pitch down the fairway, I had about 50 meters into the green, and I actually felt like I hit a really good wedge into the green. But again, the green was really hard and there was a really big slope, and they put the pin on one of the slopes. So it actually just trailed off down to the left and sort of rolled, maybe about sort of 18, 19 feet left. And I felt like I hit a really good putt, but it just wasn't hard enough. It was up the hill, and I left it around about sort of 2 or 3 inches short, but dead in the middle of the hole. So walked off with a bogey, and felt like, again, sort of just was a little bit hard done by, because I didn't feel as though drive was bad, but I felt as though I'd played the hole relatively well with my other shots. So then stood up on the par 4 fourth. And this is after I'd hit my tee shot into the trees, pitched out, and then I had an 84-meter wedge into the green, which I actually hit really well, but just hit it a little bit too long. I had about a 25-foot putt coming back down the hill, and 2-putted for bogey. A couple of putts on the 5th, the par 3, pretty standard. The 6th, where I was short for 3. Again, the pin was cut short, so I grabbed my 50-degree wedge and tried to just land it into the fringe, because I just wouldn't have been able to stop the 58 short of the flag. I would have run probably 10, 15 feet past, and after my blade on the second hole, I didn't feel exactly confident with it.
Fair enough.
So I pitched it into the fringe, and it only just got onto the green, and then two putted for par. Two putted for double bogey. Big difference between par and double bogey.
2 shots.
Yep. We're up to the par 3 7th, just 2 putted for par. Par 4 8th, where I'd hit my 70-meter. I hit a 70-meter wedge a little bit through the green, and because it was Kaiku, I didn't feel that confident putting through the rough. So I hit what I felt like was a good chip, but because it was downhill and the greens were pretty speedy, it went about 10 feet past and missed the returning putt for par. So walked off with a bogey. The par 5 9th, where I'd sort of, ping-ponged around in the trees, and then hit a sort of 4 iron under the trees down to about sort of 30 meters from the green. Hit a really good pitch that landed on the front of the green and ended up about 10 feet short, and again missed the putt for par, so ended up with bogey. A couple of putts on the par 3 10th. Then on the 11th was the 4-foot birdie putt, made that. The par 4 12th, where I'd hit the 7 iron in to about 25 feet, and it was above the hole. The pin was cut front left, and it was just an absolute brutal putt. One of the guys I was playing with had actually missed the green right in the bunker, and we just both looked at it and went, good luck. And he sort of just landed it over the bunker, and it rolled off the green on the other side and just down into a sort of a grass bunker, where he then hit a really good pitch and got up and down. But I was standing over this putt, just having seen his bunker shot, going, this is going to be really interesting. And I actually hit the putt just a little bit too hard, and it rolled off the front of the green.
Whoops.
Yep. So anyway, I was probably about a metre off the front of the green, still able to putt it back, and 2-putted from there for an easy 3-putt bogey.
Nice.
So the par 3 13th had about a 12 feet birdie putt, made that, which was quite nice. The par 5 14th, after again ping-ponging around in the trees, hit a 4 iron up into the front bunker. Now, bunker play hasn't been that good for me in recent times, so I must admit I wasn't overly confident in the bunker, and I just literally chunked it out to about 30 feet and 2-putted. Par 4 15th, I'd hit my 7 iron into the front bunker. Actually hit quite a good bunker shot. Was pretty surprised. I actually hit quite a nice bunker shot to about 8 feet past the hole. And I felt pretty confident over the putt. And I hit it at the left lip, and it just stayed there. which was a little bit disappointing because I actually hit a good putt, hit it where I wanted to. So walked off with bogey. Par 5, 16th, where I'd striped 2-3 utilities down to about 90 metres. Hit my 54-degree gap wedge. Hit a really good gap wedge to about 12 feet. Then 3-putted for bogey.
It's 2-3 putts so far.
Yeah. So on this one, I felt really confident over the ball, and I wanted to give it a bit of a run, which I did, and hit it about 4 feet past, and then just pulled the returning putt, made bogey. So move on to the 17th, par 4, where I was in the left rough. Only had about 70 meters to go to the pin. And because I was just in the tree line, I had to go just right of the flag because there were these massive gum trees that were sort of blocking the line to the flag. So I decided that I wanted to pull my 47 meter 58 degrees straight into the gum tree in front of me.
Makes sense.
So hit middle stump, came basically straight back at me. So I had a very similar shot as what I just had.
Wow.
To which, again, this time I actually hit it where I wanted to, which I think landed around
straight
about
into the tree again.
No, landed about pin high, but the green was, which I realised when I got up there, was really firm, and it just took a massive bounce into the back bunker, and because the pin was at the back, I had absolutely no shot at all. All I could do was literally there was a bunker sort of front left, and there was an upslope. Going into the bunker on the green, and all I could do was just get it out and roll it down, have the upslope stop it to about 30 feet. So I did that, 2-putted for an easy double bogey.
Nice.
And then on the 18th, just to finally cap it off, had about a 30-meter pitch to the green after having to punch out of the right trees. Hit quite a good pitch to probably halfway in between the fringe and the flag, but again, it just took a really big skip and ended about 15 foot past, and I missed that one to close with an easy bogey 5.
Right, it's a tale of woe. So a couple of questions. Were there any up and downs in the round? I don't think I heard an up and down, a successful up and down.
No, there was a couple of putts off the fringe, which I 2-putted, but not an actual up and down. But again, I felt like I hit a lot of reasonably good pitch shots, but because like the greens were really, really firm, I didn't adjust to, well, either A, I didn't adjust to it, or B, it was just really difficult if the pin was at the front to be able to land it on the green and stop it short of the flag. And I couldn't land it in the fringe, as I said, because there was Kaiku fairway. So there were sort of some mitigating factors there. It wasn't exactly an easy pitching and chipping round because of the firmness of the greens. So I wasn't disappointed with my chipping and pitching performance. I just felt as though I didn't adjust as well as what I probably should have to the green surrounds.
Yeah, and look, that happens some days. It's not easy around the greens, and you can have challenging days. But I mean, I think there are a few just clangers by the sounds of things. Like hitting a lob wedge straight into a tree in front of you is not amazing.
No, and that was just
one of those things that happens.
It was just a poor execution, right? And I mean, from inside 100 meters, and it wasn't just a little bit left. Like I'm talking, it would have been about 20 metres left. I was aiming to the right-hand side of the green and the pin was cut left.
Yeah.
And like it was just straight off the club face, went straight left. So, pretty disappointing, but,
Look, that can happen every now and then.
What it is. Yeah.
Talk to me about the mental side of things. How are you?
Look, I must admit, I as I said at the start, I actually was quite confident when I stood on the first tee.
Mm.
After the double at the second, I sort of went, you know what, that's fine. A little bit of a mistake with the pitch or the chip that I bladed over the green.
Mm.
After the bogeys through 3 and 4, I started to get, you get that disappointing feeling. I felt that, but then after the par 3 fifth, where I had a really good 5-iron into the green and solid 2-putt for par, I thought, all right, well, keep going, keep grinding. You might be able to come back and shoot something decent, because I had a fair idea that under par wasn't going to win, because it was sort of similar to the Dundry Seniors. You just knew that under par wasn't going to win just because of how difficult the golf course was set up and the pin locations.
Yeah.
But then on the 6th, after hitting the driver into the left trees, and I was actually there's out of bounds. There's houses sort of all the way down the the other side of the tree line on the 6th. I was actually up against the boundary fence, and fortunately, I did have the preferred lies in the general area. Because I was able to take a preferred lie and at least get a club head on it, but I had to literally come out sideways. And at that stage, walking off with double bogey, I just, the mental state wasn't great, and sort of feel as though I was sort of having a bit of a war inside my mind.
Nice. I thought you might have been. The battle was raging.
It was.
Yeah.
It was really messing with my head, I have to say, because and as we'd sort of talked about from the last comp game at Coimbra, I sort of felt I was on the verge of playing well, which is why I entered into the Oatlands Seniors. I'd hit some great approach shots, some really good wedges. The putting and driving, that they were things that I'd needed to work on. But I felt as though I could sort of save my round and save the score because of my iron play and because of my wedge play. But that obviously didn't work out because, and look, my iron play I was pretty happy with. Wedges, I didn't adjust, but I hit some good wedges. But the putting, the putting, I don't think it was as bad as the strokes gained suggested. Apart from 16, I missed a 4-footer on 16, but apart from that, I didn't miss anything. Inside of around sort of 8 feet. I missed a few from sort of in that sort of 8 to 12 feet range.
But you also made a couple there, and you're only going to be. You'd be less than 50% at that range anyway. So I think that's kind of where it should be.
Yeah. And I felt as though, I had a couple of sort of, hiccups with speed control, but generally speaking, for most putts, I felt as though my speed control was pretty good. The putting off the green on 12, that obviously wasn't great, but that was an incredibly difficult putt. That was one of those putts that, you sort of, you're lucky to get it within sort of 6 or 7 feet anyway because of where the pin was. Yeah. And then at 16, the 3-putt at 16, I just sort of, I just wanted to make a birdie and I just rammed it past the hole.
Yeah, that's disappointing.
And it was the end of the round, and I wanted to make another birdie. So again, not that was an excuse or a reason to 3-putt, but there were mitigating factors there.
Was there any ejecting out of the round at any point?
No, I didn't at all. And actually, I'm gonna rephrase that. On the 18th tee, right after making double bogey and hitting middle stump from the left rough on 17 and making double bogey, I stood on 18 and I was hitting my 3 utility. I'd sort of put the driver in the bag, but then on the 18th tee, I just went, you know what, I'm going to take a driver and rip it as hard as what I possibly can, which I did, and it went into the right trees. But that was probably the only shot, because then I regathered myself and pitched out and hit a reasonably good pitch and 2-putt for bogey. But that shot, that 18th tee shot where I was just angry, that was probably the only shot where I probably would have done something different had I been having a good round.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But I sort of give myself a little bit of a leave pass on that course. I was 12 over and had just made double bogey.
I don't. I mean, you've wasted a shot there. You potentially could have shot an 82. So, you've thrown it away.
Could have. Yep.
Start giving yourself leave passes there. You're going to do it in all sorts of situations, Andy Walker. It's not good.
Yeah. So look, I mean, in general, general observations, is really sort of same in that, good approach shots, good iron play, reasonably good with wedges, but just, putting and driving, need work. What I do feel, and I want to get your opinion on this, is I feel as though I haven't done the work at this stage to deserve to play well in championship conditions, and not that you deserve to play well, in any point, but I just feel as though I'm not ready to play in those championship conditions, because so while I can play relatively well and get away with it at my home club in a Tuesday or Thursday competition, whether it be week or so at Oatlands or Duntry Seniors, I struggle, and that's where I really get found out. So I sort of feel as though I might be sort of putting the chicken before the egg, so to speak, in trying to get myself to a point where I'm playing well in the senior amateur championships.
It's an interesting point. I am going to channel a friend of the show, Raymond Pryor, on this one, and talk about the concept of confidence, right? So stable versus fragile confidence, and fragile confidence being drawn from how well you're playing at the time. I had a good game last week, so I was hitting the ball last week, so I feel quite confident I'm going to go in, and it's based on performance, which is, as we know, then when things start to go badly, that confidence just evaporates, and you kind of don't know where you're at with your game, and you start doubting, and you have all of those mental battles that start to rage. Stable confidence, though, is built from the practice paddock, and built from knowing that you've done the work, and knowing that you've got the process, and knowing that you can fall back on that, because as we know, you don't rise to an occasion, you fall back on your preparation. And I think that's partly what happens when you know that you haven't done the work, and you know that you're not prepared. It's impossible to have that really stable confidence moving into the round. And therefore there's a lot of hope. I hope things start well. If they start well, the first half a dozen holes, then I'll feel good about how the day might go. But if they start badly, then mentally I know I'm going to be really struggling. And I think you're right. I look at where I'm at the moment. I'm going to have a round this weekend and playing I haven't played competitive golf in 2 months, so I'm going to make my comeback in a stroke event on a wet course. So how can that possibly go wrong?
Quality.
Yeah, but the thing with that is, what the approach that I want to take on that is that I want to accept before the round that I'm really asking a lot, and not have the expectations that I'm going to go out and shoot a 75 or something like that. But, just enjoy the round and go with it and be happy that I'm having a game of golf, because I know that I haven't done the work and I know that I don't have the reps behind me to expect to play that well. And that's more extreme than where you're at, but it's on a similar kind of a similar lens that you know going into these events that you're not as prepared as you want to be. And what that means is you hope that you're going to do well. You don't have the stable confidence and belief that you're going to do well, and therefore the ability to bounce back so well when things aren't going that well.
See, it's and I'm going to counter a little bit to that, because while I completely agree with the concept of what you've said, when I was standing on the first tee at Oatlands, I actually did feel quite confident, and I felt like I was in a good spot, and my game was going to hold up under those conditions. But as per the Dundry Seniors, where I sort of felt the same thing, my game got found out, and at the end of the round, I was actually feeling that. What you've described with the unstable confidence, rather than when I was standing on the first tee.
Yeah.
So how do you know the difference? How do you know when you're ready to have that stable confidence and have your game hold up under those championship conditions? And that's the balance, right? That's the question that I'm asking myself now, is that, okay, well, I think about back a couple of years ago, because in the lead up to, us, we played in the Macquarie Cup.
Yeah.
A cup just before I started playing well, and just before the Camden Seniors, where I played really well, and I played pretty poorly in the Macquarie Cup, but I sort of feel as though I'm in a similar position now to what I was coming into the Macquarie Cup, and I actually felt relatively confident coming into that event, but I got found out. Then after playing well and shooting, the even par and the 2 under at Coimbra, I then stood up in the Camden Seniors and came, I think it was third or fourth. So my game did stand up at that point in time. So, but I didn't feel sort of that much different. I mean, yeah, I'd had a couple of good rounds under my belt, but standing on the first tee, I didn't feel that much different for the Camden Seniors as what I'd felt for the Macquarie Cup. I guess I'd just put in more work to a point where, my game was able to stand up under that sort of championship conditions.
A few things. Firstly, I think you run the risk of looking for certainty in a game where there won't ever be any, and so that's a challenge. But the other thing as well is it's easy to stand up on the first tee with that confidence, because what you might call stable versus fragile confidence will feel the same. The difference, though, is after the double, how it feels after that, after the double and a couple of bogeys, and how it feels after that. It's how quickly it evaporates. So
it was after the 6th, specifically after I'd made the second double on 6th, that I just went, this is rubbish.
Yeah. And so it's difficult because you can be, I don't know that having those feelings is going to change the outcome in any way, shape or form. But it might just help you deal with it in the moment so that you can regroup and not have things go absolutely off the rails. And that's difficult to do because when you're in that situation and you start searching for answers and you don't have that, kind of innate confidence in where you're at with your game based on the work that you've done, you start searching for answers out on the golf course. And, we've all done it where you're sort of saying things like, I just don't know where my swing is today. I can't feel the club head. I don't know where it's going. I'm swinging a door snake and all those types of things. That's not going to happen if you've done the reps well enough, because you will be able to pull it back faster. So, I mean, I don't know. And, how important is confidence per se anyway versus just the desire to keep fighting? Because, that quote we often talk about, that everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. And it's a little bit like that, you know, like you stand up on the first tee and you feel great, and then 3 holes in, you're like, I don't know what's going on, and then, you know, the round's gone and I'm all over the place, but you can't replay those holes. All you can do is play the other ones that are in front of you.
Yeah. I guess, and you know, I want to bring it back to a couple of the conversations we had around the Dundry Seniors, in that I would rather stay at my home club and, you know, do the work in the high performance centre, you know, play in the Tuesday or Thursday comps at Coimbra, rather than, you know, spending $100, you know, taking a day off work and going and shooting 83 in a senior amateur event. And don't get me wrong, I want to be able to play in the senior amateur events, and that I'm sort of just getting a feeling now after a couple of events that I need to put in the work first, and then go and compete in those events, right? And I sort of feel as though I'm a little bit getting it around the wrong way, in that I'm trying to compete at those events and do well, but I haven't put in the work to, you know, to be able to have my game stand up in that environment.
Look, that might be true, and that might be the right path. I don't know. The other side of the same coin that you could look at there is you could go, I want to play more of these events, and I want to get more comfortable with playing these events so that I can actually access my skill set that I know that I can access on my home club. And rather than trying to, you know, sort of search for certainty that I'm going to do all the work and play enough in my home club and do all the preparation, and then I know that I'm going to play in the next senior event and I'm actually going to be able to play well. There's no guarantees that's going to happen, right? Like, you may well do all of that work and say, I'm going to sit out the next few events and I'm going to focus on development, and then I'm going to, you know, and then I'm going to be ready, and I know I'm going to be ready, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to tear it up, and I go out there and I shoot 89, and then where are you? You know, like, so the other lens to look at it through is you go, well, okay, I accept that at the moment I'm not shooting the numbers that I want to, but I'm going to keep playing events and building experience, and, you know, have some different results, have some bad days, have some good days, and work through that. I'm not saying that's the right way to go. I'm just saying that's another lens to look at. So whether or not you're trying to search for guarantees or being prepared to accept results and learn lessons along the way there.
I'm not after. I've played golf long enough to know there's no guarantees.
Yeah.
I don't feel I haven't searched for guarantees in golf for a very long time. But what I don't want to do is, you know, go to those events and shoot 13 over. That's not what I want to do. Like, I feel as though I've sort of wasted a day doing, day off work and all the rest, where I could have been doing something more productive. That's how I feel.
I actually don't think that's the right way to look at it. I really don't. I think what you're doing is you're putting judgment on the outcome that it isn't there. Okay.
Oh, there's heaps of judgment.
I know, but it's not helpful.
I'm smacking myself around the head and like judging myself massively.
But it's not helpful. It's not helpful. You know, like, you have a bad day. We've done episodes on how to deal with a bad round because we've had enough of them over the last 3 years. You know this. You've had a bad day. It's going to happen, you know, and it's a bad day. It doesn't mean that you're a bad golfer. It doesn't mean that you're incapable. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person. We all go through those feelings. It means that you were turned up at the course, presented the game that you had with you at the time, and that's the score you shot. And that's all it is. But the thing is, it only becomes a bad day if you decide to treat it like that. And if you refuse to go, well, okay, I got some really interesting experiences there. I learned a few things about how I react under pressure. I learned a few things as well about how I adjust more quickly to really firm greens, and I stop trying to pitch it pin high, and you know, some of those sorts of things. So maybe reframing that to look at the lessons that came out of it, rather than putting the judgment on it and I don't want to do that again because that's a waste of time, and I should have been earning money and, I'm an idiot and all those sorts of things. I don't do that to yourself. Look at it and go, I chose to do this. I knew the outcome was uncertain. There was no guarantees I was going to play well. I didn't shoot the number that I wanted to, but I learned these lessons out of it, and that's what I'll take away.
The other side of it, and I'm going to use a bit of a boxing analogy here.
Awesome, because we're both big boxers.
To me, it sort of feels like at the moment I'm sort of fighting in the lightweight division, and I'm trying to jump into the heavyweight division and be competitive, and I'm just getting smacked around the head by all the heavyweights. So for me, I feel like I need to go back to my own weight division and earn the way up to being a heavyweight, do the work, do the reps in the gym, put on the bulk, get those, heavy punches, do the reps to be able to do that, to be able to compete with the heavyweights. So I sort of feel like how many times does a lightweight jump into the ring with a heavyweight before they go, yeah, you know what? I might go back and earn the right to be here rather than keep jumping in with the heavyweights and getting smashed around the head.
I don't know that it's a great analogy, to be perfectly honest.
That's how I feel.
I can understand that. And look, I'm not saying that there's a right or wrong on this, because if you decide to not play more senior events for a while and you want to go and just work on the game, there's nothing wrong with that. All I'm saying is I think you can still work on the game whilst getting out there and competing, because what you're also doing is you're flexing that competitive muscle and you're building more reps in tournaments, because no matter how well you go in the high performance centre, and even no matter how well you go in the local comps at your local club, it's a different beast to stepping out there into, these bigger tournaments on unfamiliar courses against a strong field. And a big part of it's actually getting comfortable with doing that, getting outside of what feels comfortable. And maybe, to go back to your analogy, maybe as a lightweight playing in the heavyweight division, that's outside the comfort zone, right? Like, because you're not in your weight division, you're outside of it, and you got to know that. And therefore, expectations of outcome probably need to shift. Josh Nichols talks about that ladder of being able to access your skill set, and it's really easy to access it on the training paddock. It's slightly harder to access it in a round. It's harder to access it in a comp round, and it's even harder to access it in a tournament round. So
yeah, and I agree. And I agree with that rungs of the ladder. But what I'm saying is that you need to climb the ladder to get to the top rung, rather than trying to jump from the ground to get to the top rung of the ladder, because you're going to fall every time.
Yeah. Pilgrims, wade into the debate on this on the Facebook page, because I think this is a really interesting one. I think this is the crux of what we're talking about. I feel like there's a lot of conflict going on inside your head, Andy Walker, at the moment, and
yes,
probably something equally as important to get straight as it is your swing path.
Yes, absolutely. Especially, driver fairway. Just need to sort that out. But I think I've got the good thing is I think I've got a solution with the putter, which stay tuned. We're gonna cover that in the next episode. So looking forward to covering off on that one. So yeah, we'll see where that goes. But look, my thing is, and what I've started to do over the last week is, because I've never really practiced driver in the high performance center. I've been practicing swing speed and doing speed training with the driver with the last few swings of a practice session. But what I've done over the last, maybe sort of 5 days is that I've incorporated every single training session in the high performance center. I've incorporated maybe, 12 to 15 just standard drives, just to be able to, feel where the club should be, feel the swing I want to, and get in the right position, similar to what I've done with my iron play. And again, as we've covered, I feel like my iron plays in a really good position. I'm trying to take that same approach with my driver, which I've never really done, as I said, in the high performance center. So maybe that might make a bit of a difference, and I'll get back on the right path with the driver. So I've got a couple of paths to take, one with driver and the other with putting.
Well, we'll look forward to hearing all about it, Andy Walker. It is quite exciting. I think there's a bit on the horizon, which we will cover in future episodes, so stay tuned, Pilgrims. But look, I think that's been a pretty good discussion about all of the mental challenges that you're faced with at the moment. I think the nature of that conversation was not about the score and the swing. It's about what's going on between the ears.
Yeah, 100%.
There's quite a lot to ponder, and if only we could finish the episode with a song, one of our new fantastic golf rock genre songs, but maybe if there was one that even talked about that topic, that would make it even better. Yeah,
I reckon we may be able to arrange that.
Well, I've got one here to give a go. I think that you've spent some time after that round working on.
Yep.
So maybe we do that. But as we cue that up, Andy Walker, any advice for the Pilgrims over the coming week?
Rock out, Pilgrims.
Nice.
Awake before the daylight, when the world is lying still, with blisters on my fingers and a hunger no score can kill. There's a bag beside the doorway, there's a mark upon my hand, from gripping for the answers that this game won't let me have. I've walked through wind and silence, I've stood beneath the rain, I've searched for something perfect in a game built out of pain. Every fairway asks a question, every green demands its due, and every shot I've ever lost still echoes in every move. There's a fire I can't lay down, there's an ache I cannot hide, through the broken swings and empty rounds, through the lessons left behind. I fall, I rise, I fight, chasing daylight into night. There's no promise, there's no mercy, there's no easy road to find, just the weight of the walk and the war inside my mind. I felt the crack of one pure strike, like silence breaking stone, then watched the next one disappear where the long grass grows alone. I stood over 3 feet trembling, with the whole round on the blade, and heard the quiet answer when the putt just slipped away. There are ghosts out past the water, there are demons in the trees, there are voices in the backswing that bring strong men to their knees. But I keep walking forward with my shadow stretched and worn, because something in the struggle feels like the truth I'm searching for. There's a fire I can't lay down, there's an ache I cannot hide, through the broken swings and empty rounds, through the lessons left behind. I fall, I rise, I fight, chasing daylight into night. There's no promise, there's no mercy, there's no easy road to find, just the weight of the walk and the war inside my mind. Give me the range when the lights are low, give me the scars that never show, give me the shot I couldn't face, give me the lie I can't replace, give me the failure, give me the flame, give me the burden of this game. I'll carry it all, I'll wear it down, till the lost becomes the found. There's no crown waiting for me, no easy glory won. Just another ball on beaten turf, another rising sun. And maybe that's the meaning, maybe that's the call, to keep giving everything I have to a game that owes me nothing at all. There's a fire I can't lay down, there's an ache I cannot hide. Through the broken swings and empty rounds, through the lessons left behind, I fall, I rise, I fight, chasing daylight into night. There's no promise, there's no mercy, there's no easy road to find. Just the weight of the walk and the war inside my mind.